Okay, so welcome to a new podcast episode where I am going to be talking about topics that just random little topics. These are like mini podcast episodes. These are not going to be super long or anything. They'll be 10 minutes or less, hopefully. And so this is another segment that I'm going to bring to this channel in order to, to keep content flowing and also to make things easier on me. So if we can just kind of get right into it. But yeah, not every video is going to be like script based and me like really putting together a good video or whatever. Like some videos will just be more on this like style of content. So with that being said, let's get into this topic. This is something that I have been thinking about for a while now, for some years now, and I've been feeling this way ever since probably 2019, maybe even earlier than that, but at least since then. I think that's when I started to have a realization, and then each year it's been getting worse and worse. And what I mean is basically reboots, remakes, things like that. Remakes, reboots are the death of nostalgia. Basically anything that you used to love, specifically back in the 90s and 2000s, and maybe even the 2010s, they're trying to bring it back. They're trying to bring back everything. I mean, just off the top of my head, iCarly, Rugrats, Teen Titans, Powerpuff Girls, the Proud Family Show. They've brought back Full House. They've brought back Roseanne. I mean, the list honestly can go on and on and on, and in my opinion, it ruins the legacy of these shows. Maybe there is an audience of people who actually like these remakes because they do it for a reason, and if they're still running and they renew seasons and stuff like that, that means that people are actually watching them. But as someone who has actually lived, for someone who's a 90s baby like myself, and I've lived through seeing these shows growing up as a kid, seeing them come back it does not have the same effect. I would say when I was a teenager, and anytime I wanted to go back and have this nostalgia feeling about certain TV shows that I used to love as a kid, I would just simply find those shows on the internet. You know what I'm saying? I would just find those shows and boom. Now, these days they have stuff that they make it so much easier for you. They have streaming services and stuff like that. So, I could just go on Disney Plus if I wanted to go and binge watch Hannah Montana, which would be pretty interesting. If we just take everything aside, I'm kind of glad that Disney doesn't do this, but I'm also salty about it because I was a big Disney Channel kid. And as much as I'm like hating on reboots and remakes, just a side note, I would be a little bit curious if they did a remake of like Hannah Montana, Wizards of Waverly Place, one of those, those. But once again, they might ruin it. So I'm kind of thinking, nah, you're good. Just leave the legacy as it is. But as I go back into what I'm saying, and this doesn't only count for TV shows. This is also movies, things like that, even fashion. And we'll get into all of that in a minute. But I want to specifically talk about TV shows right now. You bring these TV shows back and they suck. They are, if they were cartoons, there's some type of new animation that I personally I don't like. For example, Teen Titans Go. I watch that show on occasions because my kid watches that show. It's so funny how something I used to watch, now my kid watches it, but they watch a different version. And I understand the appeal, right? I understand that, these producers, and so it's all about money. And once again, if there's a market of people who are willing to watch, I don't know for sure if it's necessarily the original people, if they're really trying to appeal to the original audience, or if they're really trying to appeal to a new audience and bring a new audience and make them aware of these shows. But the reason why I think that's a problem is because there's not much originality. I'm not going to say there's no originality these days, but there's not much. And especially years ago, I really felt like there wasn't much. Now I think they're getting a little bit better with trying to come with original ideas and stuff. But even then, and this is coming from someone who doesn't really watch TV that much, because I'm trying to do other things in life and I really don't spend a lot of my time just watching TV and movies and stuff. But even just the looking at the concept of things, it's just like, no, they brought back Sex in the City. It's just stuff like, why is that necessary to bring these things back? The people are older, it's not the same. Half the times, half the cast isn't wanting to come back, or they can't come back, or maybe they're dead or something. I heard they're bringing back that 70s shows. I mean, come on. Like I said, a lot of the cast members probably are missing, and they bring in new cast members, which I am not a fan. I'm not a fan of them bringing in new cast members. I watched the reboot of iCarly, and I loved iCarly. I mean, how many people really did not like the original iCarly? But it's just, as much as I wanted to enjoy the reboot, I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as I liked the original. Now, I haven't went back and watched iCarly ever since it was airing on Nickelodeon. But I'm pretty sure I probably could look back on it and, still feel that nostalgia vibes. Like, as much as, maybe I'll make a video about this, as much as everybody hates Dan Schneider and he is just a creep or whatever, this man was good at what he did. He was good at producing and making hit TV shows for teenagers on Nickelodeon. Like, he was good at that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like with iCarly, since they don't have Dan Schneider anymore, it just feels off. It feels very, very off. They're giving it this kind of grown-up spin to it, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, I wanted to watch it to support iCarly, to support Miranda Cosgrove and stuff, because I like her, but I don't know. I can't really, that's the thing, I can't really put my finger on why these things suck. But if you're trying to recreate nostalgia and trying to make people feel good and this and that, I just feel like might as well just don't even do it. They can the streaming services is enough. Me being able to go back and watch these shows on a whim is enough. You know what I'm saying? But having it remade, Raven's Home, stuff like that, it's just not the same. You know what I'm saying? And once again, yeah, you're trying to appeal to a new audience, you're trying to appeal to a younger, newer audience, but why don't you just give them original content? So here is an example. Adventure Time. My kid's father put me on Adventure Time, and I started watching that with my kids and with him and stuff, and I realized how magnificent of a show that is. Like, it is a great show. If you ever watch Adventure Time, especially in some of the later seasons, it is really deep. It's very, very deep for a kid's show, and it's really, really, it's a great kids. It's probably the deepest kids show I've ever seen, to be honest with you. I can't really even think of another kids show that's really as good as Adventure Time, and this is coming from someone who doesn't even like shows where there's like all these weird looking characters and this and that. I like shows that are either like kind of realistic, like just human characters, or maybe just like Arthur or something, like I liked shows like that. I'm glad they're not bringing back PBS Kids shows. I think for the most part they're not bringing any of those back. I could be wrong with that, but yeah. Same with movies, what I'm saying? They're doing remakes of all these movies and it's just not good to me. And a lot of times they don't perform well, and it's just like, well, it makes sense. Just come out with something new. Just hire talented people who have original ideas, and that's that. Because that is something that I want to see. That's what I, you know what I'm saying? Give people a chance and an opportunity to create something great for this world. Because this generation really lacks originality. And the same goes for fashion. You know, people are so obsessed with Y2K fashion. People are so obsessed with 90s fashion. Even 80s fashion, 70s fashion, 50s fashion, stuff like that. Like, people are just so obsessed with the past, and I understand past trends can come back, things like that. And you can, if something has been done before, you can always do it again. But it's just the fact that it's such a big thing. Like, literally, Y2K fashion is coming back in style, like with hard. Like, you got Juicy Couture coming back, Baby Fat coming back. You know, you've got, you know, people really trying to recreate outfits that people wore back in those times. And if you know, like, once again, if you're a 90s baby like me, you know, I was a child in the early 2000s. So the early 2000s, in my opinion, yeah, is my favorite time period in this world, you know, in history, I guess, you know, because of the nostalgia, like, literally. And I understand why it's coming back, because other people feel the same way. Like, when I watch old movies from the early 2000s, anywhere between 2000 to literally like 2009, you know, I just get that amazing feeling like I had when I was a kid. And then to some degree, it makes me a little depressed, because I feel like I'll never have that exact feeling again. Like I can't, I guess what I'm trying to say is I can't recreate that feeling as an adult. For example, watching 13 Going on 30 or The Devil Wears Prada or something like that, I feel like if I were to go to New York City, it wouldn't feel like I'm in The Devil Wears Prada. It wouldn't feel like I'm in 13 Going on 30, because the scene of New York is just so much different now. People dress different, people act different. New York just, it is different, you know, it's just things like that. Like, I can't really explain that. I wish I could go back to that specific time in that movie, but the best thing I can do is just rewatch those old movies, and it can give me, you know, the music that they had in the movies. It's just all types of stuff. Like, I love, some of my favorite movies are from that period of time. At least that's how I feel right now. Right now, if you could ask me what my favorite top 5 or top 10 favorite movies are, I would probably say is definitely movies that are from the early 2000s, because that's when I was a kid and blah blah blah. And you know, it's kind of funny, because long story short, this is just a random tidbit. You know, I noticed with older people, and I think everybody understands this and knows this, they tend to gravitate to what they liked in their prime age. You don't really have many older people that are really obsessed with what's going on right now. Like, each generation that comes out, they're just, you know, like, oh, I like this now. Oh, I like, they might pay attention to, especially people who are like super big and like household names. They, you know, that's how my mom knows people like Megan Thee Stallion and things like that. But it's just like, I do think that they have a special place in their heart for what was, you know, big in their time period. And I feel like that is gonna be the thing for me. It's things that I liked in the early 2000s when I was a kid and a tween growing up. It just holds a special place in my heart, and it's a time period that is my favorite time period. You know, I can't say that for the 2010s, because I feel like the 2010s was a hot mess. And I was a teenager in the 2010s pretty much. But there's some things that I love about the 2010s, but there's a lot that I don't love. We may have been original in that time period, but that doesn't mean it was good. Nothing much good came from the 2010s except for maybe Justin Bieber. You know, like, I can't really, and like I said, maybe Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place and stuff like that. That was something pretty cool that came out of the 2010s. But there's a lot of, I'll make a whole video about that maybe someday. I'm rambling, but at this point, I think I've said what I needed to say. Remakes, once again, are the death of nostalgia. As someone who's big on nostalgia, it has ruined it for me. The best thing for nostalgia for me to do is to literally just go back and watch the old stuff that I used to watch. There's no need to remake stuff, but I know Hollywood is all about money and things like that, and you know, that's that, I guess you could say. But ultimately, what do you guys think? Do you actually like do you actually like remakes and reboots? which ones do you actually like? Which ones do you think do justice to these shows? Is there something that you have to just get adjusted to? Maybe get adjusted to new animation and you'll actually like it, or new type of writing or things like that, and you'll actually like it? Or am I just looking, am I just being too picky and being a boomer and just like not allowing change to happen? I promise you, just off topic though, I am a big fan of change. I do love, change, I guess you could say, but not when it's done in a tasteless kind of way. I can't really explain that, but yeah, that's why I love people. Like, I love movie directors like Jordan Peele. He's doing something different. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is doing original stuff. He's not trying to do stuff that everybody else has done. And even though, here's another thing, just randomly, I feel like everything has almost already been done. When you think of movies and TV shows, there has been so many movies and TV shows throughout the history of Hollywood that there's nothing much that's really new anymore. You know what I'm saying? I think the only thing that might, even if I think about technology and the future, there's so many like sci-fi futuristic type of movies anyway. Like, everything has been done to some degree, and I understand that it may be truly hard to create something that is completely new, but I don't mean you can create a storyline that's something that is original, you know what I'm saying? Just something original. It doesn't have to be new and different and never done before, but at least make something that's original and not just a copy of something or inspired by something, or I don't know. So yeah, I guess that's it. I feel like when I look back on this generation, I'm gonna be like, this is a generation of people trying to just copycat and like mooch off of things that have already been done in the past. Maybe in the future we'll get through this and we'll find more originality in the future, but I don't know. I guess I will talk to you guys later about this, and that's all.
If I turn back the hands of time, I'll be running till you're mine. When our hearts were both alive, I've been blaming everyone.